Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's all right and having a great time. So, hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Hope that you enjoy the show today. Let's make sure that this is all right. Yep. And nice to be here. And of course, we're going to have fun with radio and tune around and see what's on the bands if I hear anything special. Then check the solar indices today, but there were no sunspots yesterday. Welcome aboard from my backyard, from outside. This is going to be like a, gotta do some as much as I can because you know what, we're getting to that time when eventually, it's going to be too cold, and we'll have to do shows from inside. And as long as I still am kind of reorganizing my office, well, why not do it outside a little bit? Text an H501X as a radio today, plugged with this cable here you see, plugged on the W6LVP loop that I have up there. And so this is, of course, the show today for having fun and listening to let me check 17855 out of curiosity. Yeah, 17855 is not very good here. And 15520 is in the noise, but it actually is better here too, Matt, by the way. So nice to have all of you and hope that you enjoy the show. So my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We talk about radio and we have fun on this Saturday afternoon, evening, wherever you are, depending, early afternoon for some and early morning for others. We are live twice a week. We are live on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's technically Thursday for most people at 0 hours UTC. And Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's 20 hours Universal Time. And we just enjoy and have fun with radio. As usual, there's the little vodka and cranberry. So cheers, everybody. So nice to be here and be outside doing the show. I thought, let's do it outside. I'm just going to check something, guys, because I need to check the connections here for one little thing. Do this. Won't be very long. And let's go here. Time to start. There we go. Upgraded my phone's service. Now I've got 50 gigabytes a month. I had 30 previously, but they just kind of sent me a little text message said, hey, for $5, you can go from 30 to 50 gigabytes a month. I took the offer because I use a lot of the data on my phone. So I think I was like, and plus you got 5 free hours. So like right now I activated a free hour, which means it doesn't take data on any of my plans. And when the hour is over, then you get on your data. But I usually take from 30 to 50, 60 gigabytes a month. Usually on my phone, I use a lot of the data when I'm out and connect all my devices. I'm one of those guys that do not connect any of his devices on public Wi-Fi's for security reasons. So I connect through my phone all the time, and I use my phone as a hotspot. So nice to have all of you here. And, we have a beautiful chat room if you want to join in. Great people and people that are helpful and fun. And, everybody's welcome here. It's one of those, I think one of those really nice places where if you are new to the hobby, well, you know what? This is the place where everybody's going to respect you and everybody's going to help you. And it's kind of a nice place to be, that's for sure. So from my backyard outside and back of uh, of the home, I almost did. It's because I didn't know if they would use the table, because I almost did the show from the table downstairs, because there's a nice table and chair down and some chairs downstairs, and it would have been kind of a nice setup there. But then you start thinking of all the logistics around it and how am I going to have lighting if I need lighting and so on. And you end up with, well, no, we're going to do it from the balcony. It's easier. And I have all of my electricity and connections available. So it's kind of cool to be here outside. So, hey, nice to be here. There's also the Facebook group, the official SWL channel, where people have a lot of fun. And it's a great place also for beginners and experts and on so on. And it's kind of cool to do all of this. What's new? I've got my confirmation of my twice a week amateur radio course, which will be Thursday. So technically, for me, it's going to be Thursday from 6 to 8:30 p.m. local, and Sunday from 1 to 3:30 p.m. local, where I'm going to learn more about amateur radio and eventually go up to the point where I will get my license. And so that's starting this week. My first class will be on Thursday. So kind of interesting and kind of fun to check that out. Okay, nice to be here. Nice, beautiful day outside here. It's about 70, like 73, 74 ish, 75 maybe. It was warmer yesterday. Yesterday we reached in the 80s, but today is cooler, which is nice. Yesterday was a little hot for me. Today is perfect, and it's not as humid also as yesterday. So, but it is cool. I mean, tonight it's going to drop down to, I believe it drops down to something like we're in the 50s tonight, around 12 Celsius. So let's start saying hello to everybody. Matt, nice to have you on board from Denver, Colorado, MDK2, where it's hot. Dennis, nice to have you on board from Southern Illinois, WA9326SWL. And he did his homework. So, yeah, we got, I'm going to have to ask the question of what you guys did. I had a little homework for you guys last week. Rob, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. Tim, nice to have you here from South Carolina. And a new shack with air conditioning. Cool. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you here from Central Georgia. We have Bobby Burgess, nice to have you on board, my friend, WA5107SWL in Louisiana. We have Archer's Alley Crafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you here from Massachusetts. Beautiful weather here today. Getting ready for some early fall listening tonight. Cool. SoCal, nice to have you here from California. We have Charlie, W8CFO from Columbus, Ohio. We have Mobile Armored Strike Command. Nice to have you on board. And he's on the 20-meter band. Vince, salut. J'espère que ça va bien. Nice to have you here from Deux Montagnes. Just, near Montreal, actually. Not very far. And we have Tarek. Nice to have you here from Cairo, Egypt. JW, nice to have you on board from Colombia. Nice to have you here. David, KJ, what am I saying? David in Barcelona. Nice to have you here. EA3IEK. EA4998 URESWL in Barcelona, Spain. ¿Cómo está mi amigo? Long time no see. Nice to have you here. TVDXer, salut, ça va bien? J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Nice to have you on board. MP, nice to have you here from Melbourne. Pretty cool to have you on board from the other side. What do we have? Jeff Williams, nice to have you on board. It says hello to Elizabeth. If she's here, I haven't had the email from Elizabeth. I do have, let me, before I forget, because I forget half of the times to check the email. So, no Elizabeth today. Nope, not here right now. Maybe a little later. We'll check it out. We do have Richard Lemke that is saying hello from Western Canada in Alberta. Partly cloudy skies and a warm 16 Celsius. He's got a question, which is something I've seen with so many different models of radios. So he says, why does Amazon US carry the PL330 while Amazon Canada does not have it in stock or for sale? I've seen that a lot with many different models of radios. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, well, look at that. This radio's on sale." And I look at it in the US. But when you try to find it in Canada, they're not even selling it to Amazon Canada. And buying from Amazon US to and sent to Canada is kind of a little bit of a hassle and often very expensive. So most of the time we just don't do it. But unfortunately, it happens often, and not just with radios, with so many things. I think it's the way that they have distributors, because Amazon, people think of Amazon as a big online store, but Amazon is kind of an aggregator for a lot of businesses. So if they have ties with a business that does sell the Texan PL330, that's where it shows up. And often, if that business, for example, sells to the US but does not sell anywhere else, they'll keep it to Amazon US only because of the way it works. So, it happens very often that the way the distribution is done and where it comes from makes it unavailable in different countries. So, for example, that's why it's difficult sometimes when people say, well, on Amazon, do you have this? Do you have that? And it's like, what's the link? Yeah, it's because the link sometimes you get it on Amazon in the US or Amazon UK or whatever. But a lot of times you won't find what I have. You'll see it on the Canadian Amazon site. But if you look at, in the UK or in the US, you'll notice that it's not there. And this is something that happens very often. Unfortunately, it's the way that the chain distribution chain works with Amazon. So some stuff is available in the US, some is not, some in Canada. The reverse is true also, where some of the stuff in Canada is not available in the US and so on. So unfortunately, that's the way it works. And sometimes you have to, I've ordered from Amazon US a few times because the whatever I was buying was not available here. So, it's kind of sad because sometimes, it brings up the expense. Plus, they take that fee because, when it gets here, they'll have some fees and taxes and stuff to pay. So you got to pay that in advance. Then often you'll get a refund if you pay too much or so on. But it's not always, and depending on who they use, also for shipping. If they use UPS, oh God, it's crazy. UPS from, within Canada, UPS is fine. But if you order from the US and the only company they can use is UPS, is like you're gonna get screwed when you get that package. So that's another sad little thing about it. I'm gonna put it here above the radio, which is of course a very good idea. What else do we have? Jim's Radio Check. Nice to have you on board. Estrella Garcia, nice to have you on board. PLF Radio, bonjour, et j'espère que ça va bien. Depuis Lyon, en France. Et super les vidéos dans le parc. Je vais en avoir d'autres dans la semaine qui vient. Je vais en faire d'autres. Je trouvais ça bien intéressant avec différents radios également. Donc, à suivre encore d'autres vidéos. Surtout qu'on annonce relativement beau toute la semaine, encore une fois. On a un mois de septembre assez incroyable. Really nice September month here in Montreal. Warmer than average. And, it's the time here. Around this time, we should have about be in the 60s in the daytime. But we've been reaching, mid 70s to 80 Fahrenheit almost every day since the beginning of the month. So we're going to take it while it is works, because one of the biggest problems that happens here is that once it gets cold, it gets cold. And the worst part of a fall, or we're still summer. Technically, fall is going to start in what, 3 4 days from now officially. Um, what happens, and what is probably often the big surprise when we are in a month of September, real, a warm month of September. And lately, in the past 10 years, we've been having really beautiful and warm Septembers. So I guess global warming is having an effect here. But, sorry. But usually when we have that, what happens is that the rupture point is kind of brutal. When it cools down slowly, and you kind of get the time to adapt to the colder weather and so on. That that's not too bad. But when you have no adaptation possible of the cooler weather, that's where it gets more of a surprise. So usually when it's warm like this, what's going to happen is, I look through up till the end of September, and I mean, we're pretty much always above 20 Celsius until the end of the month. And even at the end of the month, there's like 25, 26 Celsius, getting back close to 80 again. Usually when that happens, when we get to October, we pay for it, because one day it drops from, like 25 Celsius, and the next day is going to be like 10. And you're like, whoa, this is cold. You don't have time to adapt to it. John Beckham, nice to have you on board. And like PLF Radio was saying, you loved the videos that I did in the park this week. And I plan on doing a lot more in the week to come with different radios, and have fun. So, Joe Tyson, nice to have you here from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. Richard, nice to have you here from Albany, New York. What is the best way to send reception reports? For the most part, email works very, very well today. You just need to have email of the station. And often, if you listen to the broadcasts, a lot of international broadcasters will give you the email address where to write. They also often have a web page where you can go and check out. Some have a form on the page. For example, Radio Prague has a form on the page where you just do your reception report there and click send. You could still do it the good old way with, good old postal service, and get the address. This is where one publication, we talk about the World Radio TV Handbook. And I always say that, it's not always a resource for, I don't tell people to buy that if you're in shortwave listening, because depending on how, if it's just listening, for example, you won't get, what you want in there. But somebody that actually sends reception reports, or really needs to have all the information of contacts for different transmitter sites and different broadcasters. Now that's where the World Radio TV Handbook is very amazing, because you get a lot of details on where to write, how to write. You'll have the emails, you'll have the postal address, and that for that it's really, really good. But you can just ask also, if you're writing to a station and you don't know, you can ask here if anybody has an email for such or such station, or so on. But email is good, because that most of the time they're going to get it quite fast. And also, more and more stations are switching from paper QSLs to eQSLs, which are sent through email. So they're sent back, an eQSL, because it doesn't cost anything to send it back by email, or pretty much. And it's still cool. You can print them out. I print out my eQSLs on photo paper, and then put them in my album with the rest of my paper QSLs, and I find that to be fine. And don't forget, when you send to a station, always include your postal address, even if you're not, if even if they do EQSL only, just still give your postal address. You never know. Sometimes you could get, some surprise goodies in the mail, or some stations, of course, offer paper QSLs and will send you a paper QSL. Some stations, what they do are the kind of hybrid. They'll tell you, if you email us a report, we'll EQSL. But if you send us a letter in the mail, and then we'll send you a paper QSL. So some stations do that in that way also. Hammock Dweller, nice to have you here. From the Low Countries. What's the Low Countries? RJDA Dakota, nice to have you on board. WA0113SWL. We have Jim's Radio Check says, beautiful afternoon in the Chicago area. Nick Sharp, nice to have you here from the UK. Tom DXer, nice to have you on board. WPE2QED from the Hudson Valley, New York. Cyberflyer1, nice to have you here. Mike, WDX50, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. We have John Beckham, nothing like vodka and cranberry on a warm Saturday afternoon. Oh, that absolutely. In the summertime, it's a pretty good drink. Put some you put some ice in it, and it's really a refreshing drink. I saw something I want to try one day, but I don't have that. Because I've changed my habits of how I buy the alcohol that I buy. Yeah, I used to go to the liquor store, and buy and come back with it at home. But with the pandemic, which made us buy a lot more online, I started ordering online. But what's cool about the online store is that on one of the pages, they have suggestions of all sorts of things to try, including, of course, all of the different drinks and the different cocktails and stuff that you could do, and with the recipes. And it's cool because, you click one and you say, oh, that looks nice. You can actually click on the cocktail recipe, and it's going to say, well, you need this, 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 and this. You want me to add this to the cart at checkout so that you'll have everything you need to do that cocktail or that drink. So I've been looking at some of the stuff that looks really, really good. And I was like, I think I'm going to click on one of those cocktails one day and just click, just deliver whatever I need for that. And have some different. I was thinking of, like, it could be kind of cool to have different drinks and cocktails, which each show, or just for the fun of it, kind of. Yeah. So I get that delivered at home now. So kind of nice. I find it interesting because I have a friend of mine that is today very, very, pretty much very sober, but he can't drink. When he drinks one drink, he just can't stop anymore. And he was saying that a couple of years ago, when they started that online store, he was ordering all the time and get it and got the alcohol delivered. And he was saying that they actually check how much alcohol you get delivered, and if you actually have too much delivered, they kind of ask you questions, because apparently it's to prevent from people from like drinking too much. It's like, oh, really? If you buy too much alcohol, they're gonna come back at you. Okay, that's interesting. So I didn't know they do that. I did see on one of the pages, it was saying that if they had kind of a policy of, if you, because they can easily, check out not just with the orders, but, we have points, and these points are kind of dollars. So, as you buy, you get money to exchange for anything in the store. And I guess it's easy with all the point cards and everything today to really follow the how much alcohol people buy, basically. I've never seen though somebody in the store got refused any alcohol, but maybe on the online store, maybe they're kind of more careful, and and look at the habits of people that get some stuff delivered. I don't know. Keegan, nice to have you here. X80Xer from Northwest Arkansas, and 91 Fahrenheit. That's too hot for me. We have Brad. Nice to have you on board. N5LUL / WA5192 SWL. We have. Let me just go down a little bit here. Trying to catch up at the same time. So mobile armored strike command at 2005 UT was parked on 14225. Let me just punch this in just in case I hear anything. Who knows? Gonna have some really high noise today. We have Frank. Nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Shortwave listener. Nice to have you here from the UK. We have another Frank McCloskey. Bonsoir. Nice to have you here. Stephen Wood. Nice to have you on board from Cape Cod. We have. If I miss out, by the way, on anybody because I didn't see your name, just say hello again. Matt says he had 3 days without internet. Turns out filter to keep out HBO when bad and was letting in only a trickle of bandwidth. Oh, man. Crazy. 3 days without internet. That would be a tough one for me with videos that I make. I would use my my phone's internet. So David says, yes, you'll get that ticket. Go. Can't wait to have you in my logs. Then it will be the antenna. How am I gonna set up so I can actually transmit? We'll check it out. Suppyleft Radio says, good news. You're having ham courses. Yep. Elizabeth from Alaska. Nice to have you on board. Longtime viewer. Cool to have you here. TVDXer says, good for you. Looking forward to hearing you on the HF bands. Trevor Williams, nice to have you here. Just ordered a Texan PL330 from Anonco. Can't wait till it gets here. Should be there quite fast. Anonco is amazing. The shipping is like crazy fast. People get their radios after like 3 or 4 days. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, Elizabeth from Alaska is not Elizabeth from Regina, Saskatchewan. It's a different Elizabeth. Let's just make a difference here. Jim from Rhode Island, nice to have you here. Shelly from Pennsylvania. Cygnus Ryder, nice to have you on board from New York, Rochester, New York, sorry. Jeff in New Hampshire, nice to have you here. Dwight Hitchens, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania. Dan, bonjour Gilles, nice to have you on board. Nice to see the stream from outside today. From Ohio and 8WJZ. David KJ4CMY says, World Radio Romania International want to send email, but their website was not responding. Huh, that's interesting. Talking about Romania. I'm having really bad reception here today. I don't know why. Something is crazy noisy that isn't usually. So, Fastlow, nice to have you here. VE2ERB from a little bit north of me in the city of Montreal. Estoy bien, gracias. Cool, David. Nice to know that you're all right. Catalan, nice to have you here from Germany. You know that there's the, I believe it ends tomorrow, the Route 66 special event stations with the Whiskey 6 Alpha to Whiskey 6 Victor stations scattered across the highway everywhere. So I heard quite a few of those yesterday. Enno Poppin, nice to have you here from Germany. Nick Sharp wrote KBS World Radio and Deutsche Welle. Cool. Deutsche Welle, by the way, stopped QSLing on September 1st. So don't expect to have a QSL from them. Jim's radio check says the Texan PL600 seems to overload when you use a outdoor antenna. So I switched to just using the internal one, and it's much better, totally different radio. Yeah, well, portables are portables. Whatever brand you have, if you do live in an area where shortwave signals could be very, very strong, portables on outdoor antennas tend to have problems when signals are too strong. Here, when I test my radios on the loops, it doesn't happen too often because there's not that many stations here that are very powerful. Usually, if I do get some overload, it will be in a US like WWCR, which often is one of the stronger signals here. It could be WTWW also, or WBCQ at some point. The US stations, when propagation is good and the signals really, really are strong, I might sometimes get overload. And this on almost any radio, any portable radio that I have. I've not seen overload yet on the Texan H501X or the Texan PL990X, but I'm sure that in the right conditions, they probably would overload also. But they're triple conversions. Maybe they're a little more difficult to overload, but definitely some radios, and depending on where you are also, because one of the things that could have problems in overload is anybody that lives not very far from a medium wave station, for example. If you have some AM stations close by that are powerful, those can actually also kind of overload the receiver because you're too close. And putting up that, even though a lot of the radios, the external antenna jack does not work with the AM radio, it still often brings in a lot of that AM signal to the radio, and the radio just reacts weird. So in some cases, yeah, it's better to just use them with the telescopic, and they are optimized for telescopic use most of the time. So that is also something to remember, is that most of these radios, most of these portables, have been optimized to be used with the telescopic only, and in most cases. Tarek says, the Deutsche Welle decided to stop QSLing listeners September 1st. So, but yep, they have revived a transmission to Afghanistan. That's pretty cool. William Helms in Florida, nice to have you on board. Yes, from the balcony. Ari, nice to have you here from Finland. Turning to autumn colors here. It's starting here too. We're starting to see the colors, and they're not really very visible yet. But when you start looking at trees a little more closer, definitely we are getting the fall colors here too. Kamagzi 76, nice to have you on board from sunny West Michigan. David Garvin, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia, Canada. We have Jay Dakota. Great to be able to have your show on your outside deck, balcony. It's all of that in one. What else do we have? Keegan says autumn colors here in Northwest Arkansas. Tarek's birthday falls on the same day as fall, on the 23rd. So you have the same birthday as my mom. My mom was born on September 23rd in 1930. She's gone now. She died in 2008, but September 23rd. Kevin, nice to have you here from Point Beach, New Jersey, WS2H. from the Festival of the Sea. So that sounds interesting. Lots of fun to be had there. Um, what else do we have? Frank says yes. It is here in the Netherlands around 20 Celsius. Last couple of days, nice weather. Cool. Cool. What else do we have? No takers on 14225. Propagation, I don't know if it's my high noise or what, but propagation seems to be a little weak right now. I don't have the stations. Well, maybe it's more noise. My noise level, for some reason, this afternoon is higher here. There's something different. I'm hearing Madagascar on 11965, which is the African Pathways Radio in Madagascar. So, what else do we have? Yeah, not too many days left like this. Got to take it while we can because when we get to the cold weather, it's here for several months. Mélanie, Jackie, nice to have you on board. Bonjour de la Normandie en France. Nice to have you here. We have Matt, World Radio TV Handbook is the book that showed WJHR is operating on 1.5 kilowatt transmitter power, apparently on a loophole that all allows you to do so, as long as you say that you plan on getting a 50 kilowatt transmitter. Very handy. Some people are very creative. You know, they use all the little loopholes they can find to stay on, and because I've heard for such a long time that they plan to go to 50 kilowatts, but they're not. It's very interesting. I'm intrigued by a station like WJHR that is single sideband. I definitely, apart from us radio geeks that go and check it out. I don't know if they're on right now. I think they are. Yep. They're on right now, 15555. They are on 15555 right now. I hear them. Um, what makes you go on shortwave in single sideband, which immediately will lower the amount of people that can hear you? And really, do they really have a following? Do we really have people? Do they really have listeners listening to that? I have my little doubts on that about people listening to a single sideband station. KW1161, nice to have you on board from Tucson, Arizona. Mike WDX50, do you need EIRCs for an EQSL? You just need to be nice and tell them that you like what they're programming. T Bradley, nice to have you here. Keegan has 15 megahertz WWVH, S2 out of S5 through the noise. Chaz Stank, nice to have you on board, tuning in from Louisville, Kentucky. PLF Radio, does transmitter sites do QSL or EQSL as international broadcast companies do? So you can have some from some, for example, BBC World Service might not QSL, but you could QSL some of its transmitter sites, like Ascension Islands, for example, stuff like that. And it's often more of the the engineer that works there that's gonna kind of do it for the fun of it. and not necessarily, the BBC itself. But there are definitely some transmitter sites that do transmit or do send QSLs. Uh, Not all of them, but definitely some of them. That is also something that is interesting about the World Radio TV Handbook, because you get some details about that in there, and you'll get contact information, the names of people to whom you're gonna address your email or letter and so on. I've got one here that I sent. I remember for Channel Africa. And the first time I sent to Channel Africa, I got a Channel Africa QSL card. But when I did it a second time, I didn't get a Channel Africa QSL. I got a Centec QSL confirmation by letter, because Centec was the company behind the transmitter site, which I had found very weird and odd. But at the same time, it's like, well, I already got Channel in Africa. It's kind of cool to have Centec kind of come back to me as the owner of the transmitter site, kind of telling me, yeah, you heard that signal on our transmitter site. So, yep, you definitely, there are some that do. If you search for that information, you'll often see a lot of people that are basically doing it, and it's kind of cool, honestly, kind of cool. Gin and tonic for fast load, cool. Eric Cottrell, nice to have you on board from Lachine. I guess we're going to maybe see each other tomorrow if everything works out for a little night out at the restaurant. So this is going to be cool. And you should, while you're in Montreal, in case you, I don't know, I've looked today and didn't see any, but it's time to look for those fish wings. And I saw that you had an excellent poutine today, so it's kind of cool. And hope you're having a nice stay here in Montreal today and this weekend, actually. What else do we have? What else do we have? Tarek says last week WBCQ got back on 93.30. So, yeah, I've been hearing them a little bit lately in the past couple of days. So I was wondering if they probably fixed everything now. Somebody said they heard my name on WBCQ last night. So I don't know. Friday evening, it's Alan Wiener show usually. And apparently somebody said that my name was mentioned on WBCQ. I guess with all my whining about WBCQ and Alan Wiener, maybe he's whining back at me. Maybe I'm now famous enough that it's like that, Brothers there and Glenn Hauser rant back and forth over the radio. Now it's the Gilles rant over WBCQ, because I'm always ranting at WBCQ. So, John Ritson, nice to have you here. 2E0JGR in the UK. Frank tried to listen to Radio Prague on 15770. Didn't hear anything, so that part of my homework didn't work out. Instead, I thanked Radio Mi Amigo on 6085 for their music. Cool. And you got a QSL. Cool. John Beckham, I like your weather vane. Where did you get that from? Canadian Tire here in Canada. It was on sale, $100 off. Actually, the price they sell it for, it's not worth that price. But the price I paid, which was $100 off, okay, now it's worth that price. But Canadian Tire sells way too expensive. If they're not on sale at Canadian Tire, you're paying too much for almost everything they have. Donald Hosmer, nice to have you here. We're in the Netherlands, in Belgium, the Low Countries. Yeah, possibly. The Netherlands, yeah. Okay, the Netherlands, the Low Country. John Beckham finally found a tropical station on 4765 last night. Yeah, 4765 should technically be the station from Cuba, radio. What is it? Radio. Forgot the name. So you have usually there's like a few of the a few of the of the a few of the wow, this is nice. A few of the tropical bands. I have Kevin in New Jersey saying that John Mellencamp and Bruce Springsteen are saying hello, and you got a really nice picture here. Kind of nice. Cool. That is cool. Bruce and John Mellencamp checking in from Jersey Shore. Well, I'm a big fan of boat, so that's nice. So on 4765, it's Radio Progreso from Cuba. That is on that frequency, which usually packs a pretty good really good signal. Radio Progreso from Cuba. You can try the frequencies to try. There's Radio Progreso for 765. You might find Brazil on 4885. 4885. You have a Brazilian one there that is most of the time heard. If you hear a station in Portuguese, 4885, you're hearing the Brazilian one, which is 4885. That Brazilian one is Radio Club do Para. Because there's two Brazilians on 4885, Radio Difusión Acreana and Radio Club do Para. But I believe Radio Club do Para is the one we hear all the time here in North America. There's that Colombian one on 4940, which sometimes does have a signal, La Montana, Colombia. From time to time, that signal comes in well enough that you got something there. So, but there's still quite a few, and I look here at what's in the 60-meter band. So apparently, if we look at the tropical bands, you should have. So there's Bangladesh on 4750. Indonesia also is there. Peru on 4752.5. There's so Radio Progreso for 765. A lot of people mistake that for Radio Tajikistan. It's very easy. Listen to the language. If it's Spanish, it's definitely Radio Progreso, as Tajikistan is not in Spanish. There's a Brazilian on 4774.8. There's Radio Tarma from Peru. This one is reported regularly. Radio Tarma from Peru on 4775. There's what do we have as Central South American on the looking at the different frequencies here. Anything else? So we have Radio Difusora Roraima on 4875. That one is reported regularly also from Brazil. Radio Club do Para 4885. I hear that one almost every night. Then there's another Brazilian, Nova Radio Relógio in Rio de Janeiro for 905. The one that I hear a little bit from time to time. So there's Radio Educação Rural from Brazil. Lots of Brazilian still using 60-meter band at different times. We have La Montana, Colombia. This one I hear it from time to time from Colombia. Sometimes it's strong enough to actually have a decent signal up here. Radio Cultura Amota from Peru on 4955 kilohertz. Zambia is heard from time to time on 4965. That one hands at 21 UT, so it's like ending in 10 minutes. Anything else that we have from Central South America? We have Radio Kirabamba from Peru, 5025, but usually it's Radio Rebelde that pretty much is always the one we hear over here. I get a lot of people that in the logs, when I look at logs of different websites, a lot of people reporting, "Oh, I heard Peru." No, you did not hear Peru. You heard Radio Rebelde in Cuba. That's a dominant station for 5025. This Radio Havana Cuba is on 5040. And if I look here, there's a few of them in the 5 megahertz range also that are kind of interesting to look at from time to time. Tune around. You might be surprised. I often hear also some of the stations that are kind of gone for years, and then suddenly they reactivate and show up magically. So it's worth taking a listen to the tropical band regularly. You never know what you're going to get on that frequency range. What else do we have? Aluk says, we never said we're out. Well, there's a blue jay that just passed by. Haluk says, we never said we were out of radio for 3 days. Isn't that interesting? Ibal Nonia, nice to have you here from Kansas. N4CSG, Chris, nice to have you on board. What kind of loop I got there? This is the W6LVP loop. That is in the backyard here, but my main loop that I use all the time is the MLA30 loop. Vicky Pelletier, salut, j'espère que ça va bien. Vous êtes pas chanceux à Montréal, ça a l'air plutôt nuageux. Yeah, it was sunny earlier, Vicky, but it's kind of clouding over a little bit now. But it was sunny. When I started the show, it was actually sunny. But now we got a little bit of clouds. And it's there's a little cool wind that's blowing. Keegan heard Radio Progresso on 90.3 FM via eSkip. Cool. That's cool. MM0XET from Scotland. Nice to have you here. MP says, when you're licensed, definitely look at DRM through a hotspot if space is an issue. Look forward to catching you on Worldwide 91. So I'm gonna be pretty much 98% of all my AM radio stuff is going to be mostly HF. I'm pretty sure. Calthic007 says from Wisconsin, says got his IC705. And in one day, it is amazing. Cool. New toy to play with. What else do we have? SolarFlex 71. So that's lower. There is a new sunspot, I believe, that's kind of trying to get through the surface, but man. KW1161 just released SDR Uno update today, which includes schedules. I'm going to check that out later tonight. I'm going to download the latest version. I rarely download the betas when they're testing them because I did it once and there were some bugs and didn't like it. So I keep the stable version until they release the new one. So I'm going to check that out. Catalan says lower countries, Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. René Charbonnier from the Radio Classic Sunday. Nice to have you here. By the way, if you guys haven't heard, a couple of weeks, we had Radio Merlin International Pirate on WRMI. Really? They got busted. they got busted this week. So Radio Merlin, the cops seized all of the equipment of Radio Merlin Pirate that was broadcasting pretty much 24 hours on shortwave. So that is kind of a surprise. Dan might give an end feed dipole. Hard to see for HF in a GP1 vertical for VHF UHF. Mike WX50, all the low countries had nice shortwave stations that I used to listen to in the 80s. Halleck, yep, that's a W6LVP loop in the background. Archer's Helicopter's Kitchen. The guy I want to reach out to on ham radio antennas is Dennis, aka Sparkyzilla, who is here occasionally. He's done many antenna videos and is a licensed ham. Yeah, let's check that out. Vince, can overload damage a receiver? No. In general, what happens on overloading is that the receiver circuit just can't handle the strong signals, but those signals are not strong enough to damage the radio itself. You would need to be very close to a transmitter, a transmitting antenna, to damage a receiver. You can, yes, damage any receiver if you say you put your shortwave radio only, I don't know, a feet away from your CB antenna. Well, if you do transmit on your CB, full power, that is close enough that you might actually damage the input of the receiver because the signal's too strong. And now it induces current that blows the circuits. But if you're at a certain distance, like at the other end of the yard, it's even though it's overloading the radio, you're already a little too far for it to damage the radio itself. But there's a certain distance to always keep in mind. So anybody that has a transceiver and receivers, you always got to keep a certain distance with the receivers and when to use them if you are to also transmit, as to not blow up the receiver's input. But in the traditional sense, if you're talking of you're listening to shortwave, you got 100 feet of wire and a shortwave station suddenly overloads your radio, that is not going to damage the receiver because it doesn't induce enough current to damage anything. It's just that the circuit can't handle it, though. And what happens is that circuit starts behaving differently because it just is, has too much to cope with. George, nice to have you here. What else do we have? John Beckham, seems like there's a lot of CW code around 62 to 6500. Well, it's a marine band. So there's a lot of marine stations, channel markers. There's all sorts of things in there. Russia has a few single letter Morse code channel markers also. So in the marine band is usually where you have a lot of the CW channel markers. ZS1 CDG Electronics in Amateur Radio. Nice to have you here from Cape Town, South Africa. Always nice to have you on board. We have we just go down slowly. John Ritson, I'm looking to get back into shortwave after quite a break. Got myself a Malahite SDR V2 on order. The original, not a clone of such devices. Cool. Yingli, nice to have you on board from Ontario. VE3TYA is in the house. David Porter, nice to have you on board from Oklahoma City. John Beckham, was very interesting to learn that my first shortwave radio was a Monarch Ham 1, which is a Japanese clone of the Alec Crafter's S120. We learn things from time to time that it's like, oh, look at that. What I have is that. Or, and so many different models, even of shortwave radios that existed, that you're like, well, that's, I've got a Radio Shack this. And it's like, yeah, but that's the same GN. Actually, they actually branded the Radio Shack, but it's a St. Gian. And you're like, wow, really? And you're like, yep, really, absolutely. Let me just check something here. So, anyways, a lot of radios are branded differently, and you're like, whoa, okay, so that's that. And it's like, yep, that's that, absolutely. So, kind of always kind of an interesting thing to check out. What else do we have? So Eyeball Nanya says, if only the Russian maker of the Balkan DX devices didn't make it so hard to order one. Yeah, these, I have the impression, are made on a very low, um, number. So it's like they make just a few of them and then send them. So it takes time. Takes time to get those radios. Kevin, hopefully not too much. I'm doing security. 50,000 people, bands, crafts, and seafood. Well, does sound like fun, though. So this does sound like fun. Stay safe. And thanks for the picture. Kind of cool. PLF Radio. Can you try to get a medium wave station with the Texan H501 right now? Yeah, absolutely. If I go on medium wave. In English on medium wave. Oops, not in single sideband. On medium wave. So this one is the most popular English language station in Montreal, CJAD. They're outside doing some kind of show. If I do a quick scan in Montreal here, because we're daytime, so here's what we're going to get. So we get, let me just remove this, make sure. So 600, which is a big joke. It's supposed to be a English language news station, but it's been playing music for the past 4 years. 690. CKGM, this is the sports. This is the sports station. So I think they're set at the forward spot, Chris. So I don't think there's a lot of competition here. I think a lot of these guys will be competing for minutes going forward with Laval. And 730 is the French language traffic station. CJAD 800, the most popular English language station.
And now with the latest from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center, here's Jill Fitzgerald.
Demet Westbound Bob.
940 is the English, the French version, sorry, of the news station, which is kind of a joke also with music instead of news. And we jump to 1280, which is an ethnic station. 1410, which is a Asian station. 1450, which is kind of a little noisy here, is the Arabic community station. 1570. Audio. Just dead air. 1570 is out of Laval, just up north of Montreal. 1610. Also the Asian station from time. 1650. Some religious station. That used to be a Jewish community station. And 1690, that I don't get well because I would have to turn the radio, which is the Concordia University. Campus station. Just like a little bit like CKUT, but they're on the AM band and not really heard much. So, actually, one of the complaints of 1690 for Concordia is that students in Concordia University downtown don't hear it. So, So that was a quick scan of the boring AM band in Montreal, which is the most boring thing you can have. Man Max, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? And Walt says that radio is monstrously huge, but looks really nice. I love it. I love this radio. H501 is amazing. DR reminds me of the old DX440 St. J and ATS 803A. So, like we were saying, a lot of radios were branded differently. John Beckham, in the old days of shortwave listening, the broadcast station wanted frequency, time, program info, and signal quality as a basic prerequisite for obtaining a QSL card. Yeah, most still today, but a lot of them don't really check much. Hey, Dan Robinson, nice to have you here. Interesting item. As of 2041 UT, the Euro music station Zenith Classic Rock is being heard in the U.S. On US SDRs / European SDR sites on 6950 kilohertz. That's interesting. I'll just try, just out of curiosity, which I doubt will work, but 6950. Anything here? Nothing here, but I have no high noise, but that's kind of interesting. Thanks for letting us know if you guys want to try it. Kimberly, K6YYL, nice to have you here from California. Frank, Radio Luxembourg used to have very strong transmitter, 1200 kilowatts, according to Wikipedia. Their shows were targeted to England and Holland. iMapper, nice to have you here from Moscow, Russia. Pretty cool to have you here. Chastank had a special event QSL card from a long time ago. They were using Fire Station at Universal Studios, California. Station 51 QSL had KMG 365, Station 51, Engine 51, and Squad 51. Cool. Douglas Perry, nice to have you on board. Hope things get better. Million Chip, Radio Luxembourg was a must-listen to pop station in the 70s and 80s in the UK and Ireland. Current Patch DX, nice to have you here from Iowa. EA3, Aiki David says the other day I found you quoted in an article on the current state of shortwave. Cool surprise. Yes, the Radio World article that I actually... the author of that article, James Careless, contacted me through email because he was actually... Thomas Witherspoon had talked about the fact that if he had questions about shortwave, that I would probably be the best guy to ask questions for an article. And so he contacted me, and I answered some of these questions. And the pictures also in there, the pictures that he used are the pictures I've sent. Yeah, kind of cool. I'm getting known more and more. I'm now in different publications. What else do we have? Chastang, John Mellencamp still lives about 30 minutes north of me. Got fired from Indiana Bell for turning off phone service to a small Indiana town. He and his girlfriend had a fight. True story. Wow. Okay. Stephen Wood says, I've been getting good carrier from 9650, but no audio. Could be Guinea. Yeah, this week, a couple of times when I did the ATS scans in the park, I was getting that carrier on 9650 with pretty much no audio. Another one with very low audio that I've been having is Radio Voice of Nigeria. So 11770 is Voice of Nigeria, very irregular, around 2021 UTC, mostly 2019 20 UTC. And man, their audio is bad. It's so weak. That's the sad part, because you just don't get anything. Just gonna check something. 15770 should be.
And in the book, I follow about 8 different channels.
Radio Prague.
On
Radio Prague International on WRMI 15770 booming into Montreal.
That brought him to this conclusion. The most important of which was one of the voice students at the conservatory named Harry T. Burley, who was a baritone vocalist and is probably the most...
Hey, Terry Cook, nice to have you here, KF7BQ in Western Montana. And that reminds me that, don't forget, guys, every Saturday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, you have the luxury, thanks to Texas Shortwave radio, to enjoy a Euro Pirate. So, of course, tonight we'll have tonight the another Euro Pirate at 00 hours UTC, and that's 8 p.m. Eastern in North America on 5950 kilohertz, which is coming in pretty well. Stephen Wood says Radio Tarma 4775 puts in a good signal here in the morning, so it could be an early morning listening. Yeah, if you guys get a little bit of stuttering, it's not impossible, because when I'm outside here, the streaming is going through my phone's internet because I'm too far away from my router, and I can't find where I dumped my 100 feet of Ethernet cable. So that's why it might be stuttering a little bit in general. What else do we have? Radio Pluggle. Nice to have you here, M6JKW. Caltech, the MLA30 has worked very well for me. Yeah, it's a great antenna. Great antenna. Honestly, I have the W6LVP because I didn't know of the MLA30 before. And I'm never gonna buy an expensive loop like that again. If I want to have a loop, I'll buy another MLA30, which works great. It ain't much difference from the MLA30 to the W6LVP, honestly. The only place where the W6LVP might be better for DXers that are mostly medium wave or long wave DXers, that's possible that loop might be better, but it's bigger, so it might help also for that. Alan Eldenman Show, nice to have you here from North Carolina. Good to hear you again. Question, have you ever had a dog? Love the show. Nope, I always wanted to, but never had the occasion, and it was kind of too complicated everywhere I live to have a dog. Here, technically, we're not supposed to have animals. Tolerates cats. So quiet. And everybody loves Paul the cat. Here it's like Paul is the mascot of the area. It's like every neighbor knows Paul. And the funniest story is there's a guy that worked as a waiter in a bar that I go to, the bar that I go for karaoke. His parents live about 3 houses down there in the back from him. Well, you see that big tree? That big tree is on their lawn. So one day I'm at the bar and we're talking animals, and I show him a photo of Paul the cat, and he's like, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Well, I live, at that place." And he says, "Oh, my parents see that cat." And I tell him exactly where I live, and he's like, "Oh, you're next to my parents." And Paul the cat goes there, and he says, "Oh, well, we didn't know," but he comes over, and my parents pet him because they love him so much. He's nice, and he says, "My parents called him Socrates." It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny. So I said, "Well, you can tell them that his real name is Paul the cat." So it was just funny, but everybody loves Paul the cat. It's like he's adorable. But I always wanted a dog. I for a long time I was like, oh man, it'd be fun. The I don't know, I mean, maybe someday it could be possible, but I'm not. Well, here I can't have a dog, and even if I would, I'm not sure I want to commit to such a, because having an animal is something, for me, it's extremely important For me, having an animal is a commitment of I will have that animal for his life. I will not, abandon my cat or any animal that I have actually have ever. It's I took the commitment to actually care for him. That means it's until the end of times. I have a very hard time with people that like, well, I moved and we're not allowed to have a cat, so well, I send him to the pound or something. It's like, oh, come on, please. I'm sorry, but I honestly find that very stupid. It's like, animals are toys. Hey, let's buy an animal, and if we don't like him after 2 years, just dump him. They're not toys, and they have feelings, and they do miss their owners. So, for me, it's an important one. So, if I do have a dog one day, it's a commitment. It's like, yeah, if I have a dog, I'll have the dog for all of his life. And it's something you got to think about because you can't just get a dog. There's too many people. They get a dog, and he's like a little puppy, and it's kind of cute and all fun. But once the dog is an adult, suddenly it's not fun anymore. It's like, yeah, so you like the puppy, but you didn't want to have a dog, really. It's like, I find that so stupid. Uh, what else do we have? Robert Cross wants to buy more shortwave radios. Let's go. By the way, I pulled the trigger. I will be getting at some point in time, and I don't know how many weeks, months, on the ATS 25, that little touchscreen radio. I've ordered from Amazon for a very simple reason because it'll be easy if anything happens compared to buying from eBay or something. Although it wasn't complicated. I'm lucky actually. I gotta say that the ATS 25, which never arrived and then arrived, the ATS 20, sorry, that I have, which arrived so late. I mean, I think it took what 5 months for that thing to arrive at home. I had actually, gone on eBay and said, "Look, I didn't get a device. I want to have my money back," and they gave me my money back. Same for the Chinese clone of that Malahite thing. When I got the Malahite, of course, there's one part of you that's like, um, yeah, I should be sending him back the money for it. But when it just didn't work well and I had to like go crazy and open it up, then I said, like, the hell with it. You're not getting your money for that junk. So I got it for free. And the ATS 20, after 5 months, and I'm like, I'll forget it. You know what? So I got both of them for free. I mean, come on. Those Chinese guys. Who cares? No, but I'm fair. I want to give them their money when I receive the stuff or everything. But it was so complicated in those cases. I was like, forget it. Forget it. So I bought it through Amazon, so it'd be simpler to deal with that. Maybe. I like Amazon because it says like from. So when I clicked to buy it, it says you'll receive this anywhere from October 2nd to November 15th, something like that. So when I look at it, I looked at the order today and it was like estimated delivery date, November 10th. And I'm like, wow, November 10th. Okay. So anyways, we'll see. When I get it, and that's it. These are kind of, I'm finding that it's more and more complex to order stuff from China. And especially these devices have batteries, and it's getting super difficult to get anything from China with a battery in it. There's only a few companies that will actually ship products with batteries, and I'm like, come on, please. Paul, nice to have you here from Naples, Florida, KC2WAP. A question for you guys, because I believe here in Canada, if you move to another province, you have to switch your call sign. So, for example, if I get my VA2 or VE2 call sign, and I decide that I'm permanently moving to, say, British Columbia, I believe you're required to change your call to a VE or VA7 because of the location. But in the United States, I see a lot of calls of people that are not in their call zones. We'll call it like that. Is it? It's not a requirement in the U.S. to change your call sign depending on where you move, or is it just because there's a lot of people that have like a secondary house? For example, I know that a lot of people in the north of the U.S. to avoid winter go down, like in Florida and places like that. That I would understand that you keep your call, but is there a requirement in the U.S., by the way, to change your call if you move to another zone? Just out of curiosity. So, George Lammers, nice to have you here. Erica Trell, rain showers this morning down in Lachine. Here we had rain, a little bit of rain, I think, last. Oh, yeah, we had rain last night because I got up at 5 a.m. Paul the cat wanted to go out, and Stray Cat came in, and she was all wet. So I was like, oh, I guess it was raining. So it was raining like at 5 a.m. Absolutely. Sean Beckham says, how are your cats doing, Paul and Stray? Well, Stray Cat just 10 minutes before the show started came in, and she asked for food, and she's gone. And Paul the cat is somewhere in the yards here. I don't know where. So Stray Cat is not down. Sometimes she's down in the chairs. And Paul the cat is somewhere in one of the yards, enjoying and having fun, going to see his other friends. Millen Chip, do you DX on medium wave? If so, are vintage analog radios better for this? I have a Sony ICF EX5 MK2 being delivered, which is supposed to be a grade for AM. I don't think it's necessarily a vintage radio versus newer radio thing. It's that you've got to carefully choose your model of radio for DXing. There are definitely better radios than other on medium wave, and so you have to choose the good model. One radio that surprises me a lot, the H501X seems to be a very good medium wave, long wave DX machine. But I'll need to check that out. Unfortunately, I was talking with Sheldon Harvey about that yesterday when we recorded the International Radio Report. The one of the things that because Sheldon Harvey DX'd a lot medium wave. For him, that's more fun than shortwave. And I was telling him that I probably don't give medium wave enough of a chance because a couple of years ago when I had, I started listening to medium wave and got Radio Rebellion from Cuba on like somewhere around 630, 640 kilohertz or something. I was so surprised that I could hear Cuba over medium wave, and actually I posted a video on the shortwave channel. I was so surprised that I could hear Cuba. It was the first time I heard Cuba. Although in the 90s, I remember that one easy catch was Norway on 13 to 14 kilohertz. And I remember that on my Kenwood R5000 definitely coming in quite well with 100 feet wire. So I guess I'm not giving medium wave maybe enough of a chance for DXing. Tristan, nice to have you on board. Mobile Armored Strike Command has a W6 LVP loop on the DX394. Radio Pluggle, nice to have you on board, says John M6JKW in England. What else do we have? Joseph Richards, nice to have you on board. In South Portland, Maine. Cool. And we have Mark Letford. Nice to have you here from Houston, Texas. We have Man Max says DX Engineering has a receiver guard to keep strong RF from cooking the receiver. Yeah, there's all sorts of little things. John Beckham says, I totally agree with you about RDS and FM radio reception. Radio Wow promotes RDS while Texan doesn't, even though the Texan PL330 is a quality shortwave portable versus XH Data D808. You know, I have a hard time that Texan is not upgrading its displays to display all the RDS info, especially since the fact that they are using that silicon integrated chip, which does work on with RDS. So it's kind of one of those things that you just don't understand. Bob D, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Jill. Oh, yeah. Sheldon, yes. Killer made an appearance. Absolutely. And there's a CIDX barbecue. Absolutely. I got a dog on the live show at one point. Absolutely. So, hey, I'm going to try to get a little faster to try to catch up here because I'm talking too much. Nick Hammondale, nice to have you on board from Romania. We have Brad has 16180, the HM01 number station from Cuba, and 6 RLS. Nice to have you here from Berkeley, California. We have Florin, nice to have you on board. We have so Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you on board listening to the bands, trying to log on to the Route 66 special event ham stations and WBZ 100th anniversary ham stations. Yep, there's a ham. There's some special ham activity for the WBZ 100th anniversary. Crazy when you think about it that we're 100 years of radio. Pretty crazy. John Beckham, what would be perhaps your all-time favorite station interval from World of Shortwave? Station interval signal. I would say that I did enjoy quite a lot Radio RSA in South Africa's interval signal. That was a beautiful interval signal. But I would have to think about it a little more deeper, probably, because trying to remember all the interval signals of the past. But Radio RSA is definitely up there in some of my favorites, for sure. Great question I'd add, David. What's your all-time favorite QSL card? I have a lot of affection for the QSL cards that are from stations that are difficult to verify. So the African stations definitely are up there in some of those favorite QSL cards for me because of all difficult. If I had to pick one out of the lot, I would say one is particularly special for me, and it's the Radio RSA QSL card that I have that is on the only QSL of a station on 11 meters. So on the back of the QSL, 25790, the reception frequency from like 1985-ish. I have to say it has a special place because it's the only QSL I have from that frequency range. Jim Whitty, nice to have you here from Ireland, EI3HCB. John Beckham says, thanks for the Euro Pirate for tonight, Saturday. So it's not 01, it's 0 UT, John. 8 p.m. Eastern, 0 UT. And every Saturday night, by the way, every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 0 UTC, it's Pirate Night, Euro Pirate Night, thanks to Texas Radio Shortwave. Jean-Marc Litz, nice to have you on board from Strasbourg, Alsace, France. Toujours un plaisir. After months of unusable laptop with a dark screen, after hitting the back of the screen with the elbow, getting up quickly to pee. Oh, man. That is sad. Nice to have you on board, everyone. Cornbash DX, Paul is a rock star. Yeah, pretty much. Paul, a.k.a. Socrates. Yep, pretty much. And, of course, his first name that we gave him here was DX, the cat. Currents IT guy, nice to have you on board. And check out the 2 gifts I just sent you by email. Okay, what's this? What's this? 2 gifts by email. Two documents that you can use to log stations here. One is the ham DXEC list modified to include column or AM shortwave and utility stations. The second is the for states and provinces all HF bands. Oh, cool! Thanks so much, man. This is nice. So office always. Oh, this is cool. This is cool. Oh yeah. Now I'll be able to take note of all the different countries that I hear on the ham bands with a nice log sheet that Sean has sent me, because he was showing me his log sheets yesterday, and I told him, I said, well, these are nice. They're very, it's kind of, because he's Sheldon's amazing. If you ask him if you've heard something about, and this is the ones for the states and the provinces. So thank you so much, Sheldon. That will be of good use, I can tell you that. So, Sheldon is the guy that you ask him, have you ever heard that station and that frequency on that? Is like, he gets out like, no computerized thing. He gets out his book. It's just like, that's the fun part. Sheldon gets up and takes a book off the shelf, and he's like, he opens it. It says, oh yeah, I logged it on September 4th, 1998. And you're like, wow, he's got that information like in 2 minutes and a half max. Where, I'll have it on the computer somewhere. It's like, yeah, it's going to take me half an hour. So I always find it interesting. But yesterday, Sheldon was showing me his log sheets, and I was like, oh, these are nice. I mean, it's easy to see if you've heard, specific country on the ham bands. And because I listen to the ham bands, we were talking about that. I'm listening to the ham bands a lot. And one of the things that I thought was nice is, I should take note and take the time to note every country I hear on the ham bands and see how many countries I've heard over time. So he showed me his log sheets with all the different countries, because if you ever heard, because we're talking about hearing Australia and Japan, which is kind of tough in single sideband on the ham bands. And he just took out that sheet and was like, oh yeah, I've heard, and I'm like, oh, look at that. He's got all the information. Oh yeah, I've got Japan. I've got, so it's kind of cool. So thanks for the gifts. They're really, really nice. So yes, absolutely. Killer the dog made an appearance. I do remember. Man. Socrates or Bill and Ted say the dude named Soul Crates. Erica Chow, much like kittens turning into cats. Yep, absolutely. Mobile Armor Strike Command. My cat is 15 years old. Cool. Oh, they are clean. That is one thing about cats also that is nice, is that cats do not need that much, of help for anything. They and Paul the cat prefers pooping outside, which is an added bonus because talking about Mr. Paul, look at that, guys. Look who's going in the house. Look who's going in the house. He just passed by. Here we go. A very quick appearance by Paul the cat here. So now just have to put the camera back without breaking it. So Mr. Paul the cat made a quick entrance after going out. What else do we have? Oh yeah, there are areas where you cannot let your cat out. Even here, there's in certain parts of Montreal, it's kind of a tough one to leave your cat out because he could get attacked. Um, um, let's say eyeball Nunya that the ATS-20 is kind of cute, but the Malahite SDR is more functional if you want, especially with the software license one. Definitely. Trucker Daddy, aka John in Quebec, nice to have you on board from Sherbrooke. Okay, Matt. So you guys keep your call sign wherever you go. So that's why sometimes, because it used to be kind of easy. You could easily match, a K6 station or an N5 station or whatever, and you knew what area of the U.S. they were. But more and more, what I see is that you can have your call sign, and it could be a K1 station, and you're in California, and you're like, well, that doesn't really follow much anything anymore. So although most people don't move that much, and most of the ham calls are still pretty much valid in their areas, but kind of funny, because you can't really relate anymore that the call. You have to wait until the ham tells you where he is, or go to qrz.com and check out where he is, because you don't really know. Tom the Exorcist has got two 16-year-old cats. They don't go outside because I'm near a busy road, and both Lyme disease and West Nile virus in the region. So yeah, well, we do have both of those here too, with ticks and the West Nile virus stuff. But I've not heard of anything of kind of like even the vet. Of course, they always tell you when you have a cat that it's better if you can keep it inside. But Paul is 8 outdoor cat. Forget it. It's never going to happen. What else do we have? Trying to go down as fast as possible. Chaz thinks a long time ago, I believe you had to notify the FCC for major move, and they would reassign your call sign, but that was a long time ago. Okay. Yeah, too much to deal with. Okay, Keegan says, my dad, W9JEF, had his call sign when he lived in Wisconsin. Retained his call sign after he moved to Oklahoma in 78 and back to Wisconsin in 81. Huh. And moved to Arkansas in 81. Later in 81. Okay. Let's try to let's go down. Let's go down. Simon Templar, nice to have you here. Stephen Wood led the cats outdoor. Too many coyotes. Yeah. What else do we have? Let me just go down here. Try to catch up a little more. Less than 20 minutes behind. Less than 20 minutes behind. And Max, the issue I have with medium wave, especially around me, is that there are so many stations using the same frequency. And it's oftentimes hard to get a good signal because you have another station coming in. Yeah, when they're not clear channel, that is the big problem on medium wave. Here we had stations in the past that had that problem. I remember my mom listening to 850 CKVL, and that station at night dropped its power because it so that it doesn't interfere with the US, any stations in the US. And we would sometimes hear stations in the US almost better than the Montreal station. So it's kind of weird. And I remember my mom, which she knew I was a big radio fan and knew a lot about radio. She always come up to me and say, "Why is it I have a hard time tonight listening to my favorite show on that station?" And I would turn the radio for her and say, "Look, this is the position for the best signal." But yeah, because that station has lower power at night, and the US stations are actually interfering with it from time to time. KW1161, best medium wave DXing I had was KFI on 640 from Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. Oh, wow. Wow. That's a pretty good one. Barry Connolly, nice to have you on board, listening from close by, northwest of Vermont. Cool. Million Chip, Swiss Radio International used to have a nice interval tune. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Or JDA Dakota, 25790. RSA used to come in almost crystal clear. It was a great frequency, absolutely. Frank's got a QSL from Radio RSA 21530. What else do we have? David, how's Michelle? What I'd give to be able to find all the stations on the bands now. I mean, shortwave still has interesting stuff nowadays, but there are many places might never receive international broadcasting from. That definitely is. When I go and start looking at all my my QSLs and my albums, you can't help but feel nostalgia of all that was on the air at the time. You can't help but look at that and like, oh man, what a great period we've lived through. So Robert Cross, would you ever do a Zoom meeting and compare each other on shortwave listening? Actually, we could. There could be something that we could do. There are things that I don't exploit really that I could maybe we could check. We could, yeah, we should. We'll think about what we can do. So Paul the cat just passed by. So what else do we have? What else do we have? Just check it out. Man, Max, if I'm going to buy another radio, it's either going to be an SDR transceiver or Malahite. Justin, nice to have you here. Vanity call sign. Yeah. Yeah. John Beckham says meow. You can apply for a vanity call with any numbers. Yeah, okay. It's kind of nice. Hey, Kadarius, nice to have you on board, my friend. Tony, nice to have you on board. Greetings from South Coast of Ireland. Shall have you tried the new version of the SDR Uno and plans to review the new ATS 25? So I haven't tried it. I will try it tonight. I will be installing it tonight and trying it with the SDR Play and checking it out, and probably making a few videos giving my impressions. As for the ATS 25, absolutely, there'll be a review when I get it someday. It's ordered. I'm just waiting for that thing to arrive here. It comes from China anyway, even though it's a Amazon order. So we'll see. Ari says, I also joined RSA 11 Meter Club on 16 November 1980, 25790 11 UTC. Yeah, for me, it was the morning listening. So I would maybe be there at like 14 UT, 13 UT, 14 UT. And I would constantly go on that frequency. They were almost the only one that I could really hear, because back in the 80s and 70s there were a few stations using 11 meters. Actually, I was listening to Glenn Hauser. Glenn Hauser was mentioning that Radio France International has actually submitted to the HFCC 25820 to be used in the next months. And I'm like, what? They've actually registered an 11 meter frequency? It would be nice for Radio France to do it. I would really, really be tempted and have fun trying to get that 11 meter Radio France signal. It would be to Africa, apparently. So this is interesting. I haven't heard of any shortwave broadcaster use 11 meter in a long time now. I do hear them. I actually, when the solar flux got high last week, I heard a very good signal from Radio France on 13 meters, 21690 was coming in super well. It's like, wow, this is a long time I haven't had such a good signal from Europe on 13 meters. It was really cool. It kind of reminds you of, the good old days of shortwave and the high solar activity. So that's going to be one to check out if they ever use it, because it doesn't mean if they're registered, does not necessarily mean they're going to use it. They just registered it. So we'll keep an eye on 25820. Rennie, nice to have you on board. Have a nice weekend too. Mel, nice to have you on board. Just purchased a new Ethon Executive Elite to accompany his 909X2. Notice many radios via Amazon are flipping sold out. Yeah. It's I don't think the outlets on Amazon necessarily have that much of a big amount of those radios available. So what did I just do? I just restarted my tablet without even noticing. What else? Neil Toombs, nice to have you here, Neil. I hope you are well too. M0CJM in the UK. Pretty cool. Current IT guy says, I have the FunCube Dongle Pro Plus as well as the RTL. Someday I'll step up, but the FunCube is head and shoulders over the RTL. Oh, yeah. I mean, even like most European countries had a shortwave broadcaster back in the past, and even a lot of countries that are very small countries around the world had their own, shortwave outlet. It was kind of cool to try to DX and monitor all of that. Really, really nice. Joe, nice to have you here from Chicago area. Carl, nice to have you on board. Dimitri, Gel, question for you. What is your favorite ham band? Do you regularly do monitor day long? I would say my favorite, because of solar activity, okay, my favorite ham bands have mostly been 20 and 40. So 20 meters, 14 megahertz that I'll monitor in the daytime. When we go like in the evening, except in the summer, 20 meters is kind of fun because there's a lot of European hams with they're broadcasting over the North Pole and make it to North America, which is kind of cool. And so 20 meters is definitely a very high up there, if not my favorite ham band. And I do scan 20 meters almost every time I use the shortwave radios. I monitor 20 meters. Like yesterday, I was stuck outside because of some work being done in the house, and I tuned 20 meters. I heard Belgium. I heard Slovenia, that guy that has like that super amazing station that I was joking to Sheldon that it's probably one of those stations that even in bad solar activity and propagation, that it probably comes in North America anyway. I heard a guy in San Marino in Italy. I heard a ham from France, and I heard another one from, where was he? I'm trying to remember. I think I heard a German one too. But I heard many Europeans yesterday around 19, 18, 19-ish UTC. And there's a wasp, and it's okay. So anyways, 40 meters I enjoy also, like in the evening. That's where I hear, I often check it because there's a lot of hams in Africa that are in 40 meters sometimes in the early to late evening, for some reason. I remember last winter enjoying the listen to that guy in South Africa that was almost every night on somewhere like a 7131 or something like that down in the 40 meter band, and he was coming in pretty well in general. So but in high solar activity, when activity is there, I will tell you that my favorite band shifts 10 meters. 10 meters, I absolutely love when it's open and has a lot of activity on it. Man, that band is so cool. Nick Bernstein, have you started researching the HF rig for when you get your amateur radio license? So here's the thing. I do have one already, which is the Yaesu FT450. So I already have something to use when I get my license. But I don't know. I haven't, if I buy something, I haven't definitely took a decision yet. But when I look at all the comments and all the what all the people talk about in the different ham transceivers, the IC 7300 looks very interesting. So from ICOM, so that could be kind of maybe a ham radio license Christmas gift for me. I'll see. Yeah, HCJB, remember used. I remember when HCJB also had that experimental 13 meter band, 21455 in upper sideband. In that 80s moment when everybody thought that the future of shortwave was through single sideband, and it never happened. That's pretty much like the future is in DRM, and it will never happen. Gérard, nice to have you on board, and good evening, shortwave radio amateur from Canada. Nice greetings from Holland. Nice to have you on board, Gerard. Pretty cool. No, you know why, Robert Prosper? There's no such a feature of like easy tuning mode for ham. When you use easy tuning mode on a radio, what happens is that you are using a feature that relies on a signal that is present. So on international broadcasts, it's logical to have that because stations are in AM mode, so there's always a carrier. So they can detect the carrier and actually log it in the memory, and then you get all of the stations. If you have such a feature, if you would have such a feature, and I mean, there's a few Texan receivers, when you put them in SSB, they actually do a scan of the ham bands with that feature. But it's kind of more or less useless. Why? In single sideband, it's an on or off deal. When the ham talks, there's a signal, but when he doesn't talk, there's no signal. Plus the fact that you don't hear necessarily both sides of the conversation, so you might miss because you might be scanning through a moment where you're not hearing the other guy, and it might be scanning through when a guy has a slight pause in his talking, so the radio thinks there's nothing there. You would miss out on, like, 75% of everything that's on the band, and it's more of pretty much a useless feature on anything that is in single sideband because of the fact that it's not a fixed signal that's there all the time. It's really an on and off signal depending on Morse code or even voice, because there's no carrier present, and that's why they don't do an easy tuning mode for ham. That's where an SDR is great, because you can park yourself on 20 meters and just look at the screen and check out the signals when they pop up, and you can click, and it's like, oh, there's a signal here and there and there and there. SDRs are great for that type of radio listening. The fact that you can see that the signals are popping up. But ETM scan, easy tuning mode scan for single sideband would be more or less useless because you'd miss out on too much stuff that is there, but it just scanned through a moment of where it's quiet or where the guys stop talking for a fraction of a second. DG says, thank you for excellent Texan reviews. With that, I just purchased an H501X from a Nonco for long wave listening, and it's great companion to his 880. So cool, Doug. Nice to have you on board from California. Tony, Ireland's probably one of the few small countries that never have an official shortwave channel. Yeah. Michael Satterfield, K4 AFT. Nice to have you on board from South Carolina. What else do we have? Alan W., nice to have you on board. I'm hearing transatlantic station on medium wave early morning here in Ireland. WINS 1010 and VOCM 590 are particularly strong. Wow, this is cool. TL Stock, apologies if you answered previously, but what website do you use to monitor solar activity? One of the easy ones to monitor solar activity is spaceweather.com. Spaceweather.com makes it kind of easy to understand, and you can follow solar activity from there. There's another one which is more advanced, a little more complex in its dealings, is solarm.net, which is also one. But the spaceweather.com is pretty nice for following what's happening with solar activity in general. Robert Prosper, Joe is going to end up a monster ham operator. We will be lucky to get him for even one live stream to discuss shortwave. Nah, I will be a shortwave guy. Don't worry. I will definitely, want to talk on the bands, that's for sure. But that'll be probably, that shortwave moment on my receivers when I go and tune the ham bands will be a moment when I'm just going to have contacts on the ham bands, pretty much. Yeah, Robert, that one side of the conversation is unfortunately due to the propagation. Often you're in the middle of such a conversation, and one station you're hearing one station from, like yesterday, the guy in Belgium was making a lot of contacts with, and the guy in Italy also a lot of contacts with North America. I think he was focusing to North America pretty much, and I could hear maybe one out of every 6 or 7 hams from North America, from the US and Canada that were actually calling back. A lot of the other ones I didn't. That unfortunately is part of the problem of listening to ham radio operators, is hearing just one side of the conversation. Um, I'm just going to switch channel here because I think it's Brother Stare on 15770. Voice of the voice of Turkey in English, 9830 kilohertz. Not as strong as I often hear it, but 9830, voice of Turkey. Luis, nice to have you on board. Robert Prosper would like to buy an SDR radio that looks like a full-size portable and is freestanding. Coldwater, nice to have you here. Do we have? Hey, I'm down. I've reached the bottom of the chat. Paul Crosley, Paul the Catlaw. I have had off the cat with multi-toes that hangs out in my yards. TL Stock, thanks very much. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge. I'm still in the proverbial diapers. Well, we all start somewhere, and we have to. We need to have people help us out. That's for sure. I mean, it's not always an easy task. So John Beckham says the handle should be 20 gel 40-meter band man. Oh man, the wind 1960. Nice to have you here from New York, and pretty cool to have everybody on board. Yeah, listening to Bobby Burgess says, would love to be close to the water and listen to Marine Band all day. I like, I haven't been there, but that would be something I would need to do before we get into the cold weather. Go to the park on the east end of Montreal, to the park where we could see all the ships going into the St. Lawrence Seaway and so on. I like to go there and bring a scanner radio for VHF listening of the marine bands. There's quite a lot of activity here on the marine bands when you get close to the Montreal port and all of that, because there's a lot of there's a lot of boats, and so there's a lot of activity with the Port of Montreal Marine Channel and so on. Paul Crosley, have you tried the CountyCom small radio? What do you mean by small radio? Like the GP5, SSB, and so on? Because the CountyCom, I got a CountyCom GP5 SSB, which is nice, except for lack of keypad. But soon I will have the GP7 SSB, which is supposed to arrive soon. So that's going to be interesting to check out, and I'll be talking about it. It's basically the Texan PL 368, but they did make a few modifications in it. from what I understand. Millenship. What's happening right now is that actually, Ethan and all of that, there was talk for the last year of a new higher end receiver, but I haven't heard any news of that recently, and I am almost wondering if they just didn't abandon the idea of doing this. Scott, KC2C80, nice to have you on board from Buffalo, New York. Not very far away. If you're talking about the marine bands on HF, a lot of the stuff has been changed to satellite type communication now. But there's still some stuff, the marine bands are the bands where you have a tendency to tune around saying, well, there's nothing here except, those channel markers and stuff like that. But when you tune regularly and really, focus on, for example, one band, you will be surprised that you can still hear stuff. There still are some communications going on in the marine bands from time to time. It's just that, it's not like it used to when the times we could hear these, the marine calls, when they would do like international calls, and you'd hear the people making phone calls and on HF and all of that, which was kind of cool. But there's still activity, but you just need to be patient. Millenship, if Ethan combined the best features of the PL330 and the radio owl and SH data radios and switched off soft mute, it would be perfect. Yeah. What I find sad about the tuning is I wonder why no one, because there's apparently some soft mute kind of adjustments that can be done. I wonder why. I really wonder why these companies don't actually take the time to fix that. It surprises me that nobody's told them, that muting when you tune around, kind of not cool. Dimitri, do you look for new Yagi antenna for your new Radio Shack, and where will you plan to install it? I've not yet decided on what type of antenna and how it's going to be installed here, because that will be the really interesting part of what exactly will I be doing once I can go on the air, because I will definitely need something to go to the ham bands. I don't know. I'll be looking at my possibilities from like what can be done actually. So Patrick Fitzpatrick, nice to have you here. Says the proposed Ethon receiver is nearly the same as the E1. Yeah, I have the impression that will not be showing up as a new radio. I don't know, but I have a hard time thinking that they are going to do anything. Just need to check something here. I got a message. Okay, I just got a text message. Just wanted to make sure that everything is all right. And yep. Here we go. So, anyways, it's one of those things. One of the things that I think are, I don't know, some people talk about how Texan might be cool, that Texan does SDR like radio, or have a imagine something this size something this size that would be a big screen and it'd be a portable SDR. That would be kind of cute. That would actually be a very nice little thing. It would be expensive, probably a little, but imagine that. Imagine having a screen this size. And even though it's a little bulky like this radio is, doesn't matter. And touchscreen and SDR type device, I would be into that. I would be into that with a screen that is at least a minimum of size. You know, the Chinese DSP Malahite that I got, it's okay, but that screen is too small. I do not have, I find it fun for that unique um, thing that it is, and find it kind of cute and has a few features that is kind of nice. But that screen's too small. What I like in SDRs is to have a big screen because I like to see a big chunk of the spectrum. That's what SDR is fun with. I get a few people saying, well, I do it on my 15-inch laptop. It's fine. I need a big screen. I mean, it's okay on a 50-inch, but you're missing out because you can't really go and make that display bigger. And it's fun to see more spectrum because, especially if you're on the lookout for signals, the more you can see at the same time, the more it's interesting because the more you'll find signals and find new stuff. Having a tighter spectrum when you're in a specific area, okay, I get it. Like, you could have a small 10-inch or 8-inch screen, a tablet, or even this, like a 10-inch. and you're just focusing on the 40-meter band, it's fine. That would be big enough. But sometimes you don't want to focus on a specific handband or a specific frequency range. You want to see much more of it. That's where I have I like my 55-inch TV in my office because you can see several megahertz and it's not all crammed up that it's difficult to discern. You have enough space on that screen to have everything spaced correctly. That is the fun of an SDR. And so for me, it's kind of cute, that little screen. But for me, a SDR with a 3-inch screen is not something that I find interesting to use every day. Eyeball Nanya says Icon 7300 great for starter AM radio. If you like QRP AM radio on hard mode, then the Icon C705. I've got a 705, works great well with basic Alex loop antenna. Robert Osborne still pick up St. Lawrence COE traffic on 156-700 for port operations. Very neat. Log 2112, nice to have you here. What else do we have? We have Keegan says dad W9JF has an Icon C7300 since August of 2019. Patrick, ICOM R8600 is the nearest to what is being discussed. Very expensive. Yeah, but the ICOM R8600 is a receiver, and it is very different in a way from the 7300. But as an SDR type device desktop, but it's a wideband radio, and it's very expensive, but it, for the price, you do get some performance for sure. Tony says tune up to a bunch of one-man operation Dutch pirates now above 1611 to around 1700. There are so many of them. There are a lot of pterodines. There are Greek pirates recently on 1690. And you guys in Europe got a lot of stuff there. TVDX, sir, if I get a 7300, he's going to get one too. Oh, man. Luis, I agree on the large screen. The small screen on like the IC 7300 works only because for ham, one is usually only looking at single sideband or partial bands as a single sideband. Yeah, when you focus on a very small portion the of the of the band, it's fine. But when you want to see a big chunk, this is very different. So, what else do we have? Caltech says right now the Icon I see $7,300 cheaper than 705, but like the size of this 705. I'll be checking that out. I don't know what I'm gonna do exactly, and like I said, I presently have the Yaesu FT450. I already have something to start up with and get on the HF bands at least. So be nice. Hey guys, I got a text message about something that came up and that I kind of have to rush a little bit. So I'm sorry to stop after only 2 hours and 15 minutes, but I kind of have to move on. So we're going to say goodbye for now. I'm sorry for the 2 hours and 15, but anyways, we'll be back on Wednesday and next week and so on. So hope that you enjoyed our show today. And we will be, of course, back on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 0 hours UTC. And next Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, or 20 hours UTC. So take care, everybody. Stay safe, and see you soon. Bye-bye.